What's up guys? In the previous video, we took out the M20 engine from the E30 in order to start the rebuild process. In this video, I'll go over some of the disassembly as we prepare the engine to get it ready for a rebuild. We're going to eventually replace a bunch of parts like the timing belt, clutch, plugs and injectors, various seals and gaskets, and overall just give it a full tune-up.
Wow. That's already so much better.
That's crazy.
Aren't you glad we did?
Now that we have the engine out, we're going to go ahead and start some much needed maintenance. But before we can start the maintenance, we got to give the engine a wash. I mean, this thing has like 30 years of like grime and dirt, oil buildup, you name it on it. It's pretty disgusting. So today I'm going to use a couple different products and kind of show you before and after. And before we start, let me just show you what I mean about the dirt. I mean, you have all this kind of shiny oil buildup. Like look at all that crud just sitting right there. If we look underneath, you can see kind of some oil starting to drip like right there. So that's why we need to do maintenance. We gotta fix all these gaskets and seals, prevent all these leaks. But you know, we need to have the motor clean before we can start all that. And then, I mean, just look at this transmission, how it's like nice shiny and clean metal. And then, yeah, that's pretty disgusting. Same thing on the passenger side of the motor. You know, once we hit this with the power washer, you will see how, you know, all this dirt will be gone, and we'll actually be able to see or read these stickers, which you cannot do right now. But before we do that, you know, we're gonna have to kind of plug some of these holes. Make sure, you know, there's no water that gets in anywhere. This difference is insane. I mean, yeah, this transmission was basically all black before. Now you can actually see the bare metal. Yeah, I'm so glad I power washed this. Yeah, you could probably eat off this if you wanted to. It is that much better. Honestly, it's like the small details like this that gets me excited. Nothing like having a properly clean engine, especially when you want to pop the hood and show off your motor. You gotta have the engine looking sparkling clean. Now that the engine is clean, we're gonna start on the maintenance. The first thing we're gonna do is reseal the oil pan and replace the rear main seal. To do the rear main seal, we need to remove the transmission, and right now I have it strapped to this little hoist. And we have some external star Torx bolts, and it's actually 3 different sizes. So the biggest one you're gonna need is E14. We got a couple of those. And then we have a couple of E12s. And then we also got a couple of E10s. I don't know why there's so many different size bolts, but that's what you're gonna need. So first, I'm just gonna use a breaker bar to get these loose, and then we can just zip them off with a drill afterwards. So far, so good. These are coming out pretty easy. And I did squirt some PB Blaster on these earlier, so that might have helped. Definitely recommend doing all the bolts that you're gonna remove, just in case there's any rust issues. Oh, tranny probably. Oh. Maybe we should put. So also interesting to note, the two bolts here also hold a starter, so be ready to catch that once you take those out. And I did have some oil come out of this bolt hole, which I don't think is supposed to happen. So yeah, we gotta open this up, see what's inside. So a quick and easy way to separate the transmission is you do have a drain hole at the bottom. Just stick a screwdriver in, pry it, and that's how we were able to get this apart. Okay, so with just a little bit of tugging and the help of a pry bar, we got the transmission separated. And let's just do inspection. Yeah, we got a lot of fluid here. It's not horrible, but it's not great either. So next step is to take off the pressure plate, and then the clutch, and then the flywheel, and then we should have access to the rear main seal. Now we're just going to clean the inside of the bell housing. This is completely caked black, and as you can see, when we spray the brake cleaner, yeah. Oh yeah, look at all that silver coming through. So that's what it's supposed to be. So we're just gonna give this a little cleanse and then see if we can't clean this up. Oh wow.
Hey guys, so we hit a bit of a snag here. We got all the pressure plate bolts off except for one. So we went ahead with the bolt extractor, no luck there. So now we're going ahead and cutting a slit in the bolt itself to try and get a flat head in there and then get it out that way.
This final pressure plate bolt, this was a real pain in the you-know-what to take off. So we used a Dremel to just cut off the head, and then once we did that, we were able to just pry off the pressure plate. But thankfully, with no head on the screw, this thing came right out. So just a quick tip on what to do if you round out your pressure plate bolt. So just like the pressure plate bolts, we had an issue with 3 of the header bolts on the exhaust manifold. So once again, we gotta break out the angle grinder to get these stupid nuts off. Dude, these old cars are a serious pain. All the stuff you gotta do just to get the crap out. Oh yeah, it's like steaming, smoking. How do you feel about this so far?
You know, old is gold, but this is quite the process.
Alright, let's come over and see our exhaust, what's left of it. I mean, we can reuse these parts, they're still good. You just need to have new gaskets, basically it. So now we're going to take off the front fan. You just need a 5mm hex. And impact zips these right off. And then the fan comes right off. What the hell, I thought this whole thing would come off. Next, we're gonna use our special fan clutch tools. So you use one wrench to hold the clutch with the 2 bolts, and then the other one to do the nut. So we cut the belt off, and then there are 6 13mm crankshaft bolts. So just zip those off, and then I don't know, somehow some people have difficulty, if this is the first time your timing belt was ever done, those pulleys might not come off, but luckily I think the belt has been done on this motor previously, so luckily it wasn't glued on or rusted on, so that came off, which is nice. We definitely needed a break after so much hardship already, so let's keep on going. To take off the flywheel, you have 8 of these 19mm bolts. Take your impact and zip them off. Nice. And when you take the flywheel off, don't worry. You have one little nub here, which is bigger than the other hole, so you know which way to put the flywheel back on. It will only go on one way. And yeah, right away, you can see like this drip right there. All of this is somehow dripping in. The actual rear main seal itself doesn't look too terrible. So I'm thinking it's just the oil pan gasket that's dripping. Or it could be a combination of the two. Anyways, we're gonna replace it all. So this has been sitting for about 24 hours now. And yeah, look at all that gunk that just lifted right off the headers. Let's go ahead and pull these out the bucket and see what they look like.
Pull them out?
Yeah.
I'll use this one. Ready?
Yeah.
You're gonna look the same. You gotta like hose them.
Yeah, looks kind of similar. Let's hose these off, see what happens.
Get the power washer. I can see some metal coming through. Yeah, it's coming off flat.
So we just got the pressure washer out, and right away it's blasting this rust away. Just take a look at this. Now like, look at this before and after. For any rusted parts you have, just soak it in vinegar overnight, and I still can't believe it. Let's go ahead and pressure wash this guy. You can see this brown stuff, rust, just flake right off.
Are you filming?
Yep. So for the oil pan, just take a 10mm and get these bolts off. There's a lot of them, I think like over 20. So we're just gonna go around and we also got this transmission little deflector plate. Got a couple bolts here as well. Alright, so all the oil pan bolts are off, but the oil pan did not drop down. We probably have to pry it off. It's coming off. So we're just gonna hold it while you pry it. You got it. Is there a bolt left? I don't know, check the other side.
Oh yeah.
Go!
This looks like coolant. We got a metal razor blade to cut through the previous gasket. Plastic one wasn't cutting it, but the metal one is doing a good job of getting through the previous gasket.
And yeah, you can see all the old watch out. All the old gasket just falling down. You want to make sure these metal mating surfaces are fully clean before we put on our new sealant, in which we're going to use RTV. Don't forget to clean the surface of the oil pan. There is a lot of gasket left over on this surface as well. I originally bought a cork gasket, but after reading online that the cork is prone to leaking over time, I decided to use the Right Stuff RTV to seal the oil pan instead. Every hold, make sure you do a 360. So now we're gonna take out the rear main seal carrier housing. It's just a couple 10 and I believe 13mm bolts. Let's get those out. Now again, we're using the gasket scraper to get any old seal residue off. Same thing on the carrier. When reinstalling the rear main seal, I made sure to get it really close to where the old one was sitting, but I slightly offset it so that way it wouldn't be sitting exactly where the old one was, and just in case it made a groove in the crankshaft, that way it would be leak free in the future. It's hard to see on video, but the old rear main seal was actually a little loose on the crankshaft hub. The new seal sits a lot tighter, which actually leads me to believe that the old rear main seal was definitely leaking. So that's it for this video, but there's still a lot of maintenance left to do, including replacing the head gasket, timing belt, and a lot more. So stay tuned and subscribe to Vic's Vehicles.